Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Ubay, Bohol. Ubay is a town on the north end of Bohol, and my girlfriend's mother's sister lives up there, and I think 76 years old. She died, and there was a funeral going on, so some of the family from over here on the Cebu side went over for a day. Some of them stayed for, I think, are going to stay for 3 days anyway. A funeral going on. This is a tricycle ride from the town of Ubay out into the country, out to the cemetery, and the video will show a little walk through the cemetery. Going to be different experience than probably what you're familiar with in your country. And for one thing, a lot of and I'm not sure what you call them, the burial system there is above ground. And somebody comment and tell me what they're called here. And I presume that part of that reason is because perhaps a lot of rain, the ground might get soaked, might get flooded, various other reasons perhaps. I hate one day trips. I just don't like one day trips. Once I'm out of town, I want to stay out of town. Preferably at least 3 days, if not longer than that. Because the tough part a lot of times is just the trip getting out of town and traveling to wherever you want to be. But anyway, and number two, this was more of a family affair. They're going to get to see a lot of the relatives they haven't seen in a long time. I think some relatives, she's got relatives coming up from Mindanao, aunties and cousins, and um, as well as a couple relatives from Bohol. I think she grew up on Bohol, Ubay Bohol, up until she was 18 years old, and then her family moved over to Lapu-Lapu on Mactan Island, where she's lived ever since. Now, here's an interesting thing. It's about an hour ferry ride from, I think, Pier 1. I think they left from Pier 1. And about an hour ride on a ferry over to Hitafi on the north end of perhaps northwest end of Bohol Island. An hour ride, and then they got the tricycle ride over. The cost of this whole trip to go over and back, so two ferry rides, and she paid for her mother, and I think she gave her, I think the ferry ride was 500 pesos each. So she paid for her mother. She bought some food, a little bit of food for part of the group, not just the family, but not just her mother, but some of the other people. I think she brought some bread and various other things she got at a bakery or whatever. But that whole trip, one day, two ferries, tricycle rides. She took another ride off to see a power generating transfer station, I think, something like that. Try to interview somebody there. The whole trip, that whole day, cost her about 3,500 pesos. US dollars, that would be about, I think about 63 US dollars. So how do you like that for a one day trip? Not bad at all, cost wise. You can travel quite cheaply in the Philippines. Depends on how you're going to cost a little bit more if you take taxi, of course, or if you rent a van and a driver all by yourself, going to cost you more. If you hire a boat by yourself instead of going on a ferry, it's going to cost you more depending on where you want to go, what you want to do. Anyway, they're at this cemetery here, and just give you an idea what it's like here. I think most of these cemeteries are somewhat similar to this. Some of the burial grounds, the buildings, what have you, are much larger. I guess if you got money, you build a much larger I've been into a few here in the Philippines. Some people pay and even have their area, their space that they bought, even enclosed in a its own separate type building, and various types of headstones and all this type of thing. Anyway, I was told that the many members pitched in to buy the casket, and the casket was about 10,000 pesos, about 200 US dollars. So don't quote me on that. I'm not sure the details at all. Uh, the father, my girlfriend's father, did not go along because he started coughing up blood a day or two before. Went to the see a doctor and found out he had dengue fever. And I'm going to do another video about dengue and some of the other diseases that you need to watch out for over here. Dengue is not contagious. It transmitted by mosquito. And during the rainy season, like we've had for several months, you generally get standing water, you get more mosquitoes. Um, I very rarely in the 8 years I've been here, very rarely do I see a mosquito. I'm not sure. I've lived in condominiums. I don't know if I know that they spray the hallways and stuff. But even outside of my area, when I get into some wetter areas, maybe around wet markets or out in the province, then I can see more flies and mosquitoes, other types of bugs. And so anyway, dengue cases and dengue can some areas of the Philippines, some of the islands, and areas of different islands get more of that type of thing than other places for whatever reason, maybe more sitting in water. I have been over to Bohol and up to Ubay a number of times over the last 6 or 7 months. One of the reasons my girlfriend was applying for a passport, it was denied because her name was difficult to read. Her birth certificate, number one. Number two, her name was spelled wrong on her birth certificate. So it's been a 6 or 7 month process at least, maybe even longer than that, going to different agencies and trying to get that straightened out. And I think we just finally got it straightened out. So now, in the next month or so, she needs to. Takes about 2 months to get an appointment with a one of the Department of Foreign Affairs where you apply for the passports. And so we'll be going through that for a number of months still. Maybe we'll do that in Bohol. Very, very difficult to get an appointment here in Cebu City. They're always full, just so many people trying to get in here. Last time we went to the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dumaguete, and I think this time, just to go to a different city, we will probably try to go to Bacolod, maybe in, I'm guessing, 3 or 4 months is what I'm guessing. Anyway, that's about it for this video. And so anyway, if any of you are planning on traveling, I know I've gotten a lot of comments, people planning to come. I'm coming in October. A lot of people coming, so safe travels.